Добрий день.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody who joins us. My name is Olga Atamanova and Ukraine Media Center Ukraine Forum continues its operation. Today is day 373 of the beginning of the full-scale invasion of the Russian aggressor in our land, and now we will be talking about how our education sphere survived this year. Joining us in line is Andrii Vitrenko, First Deputy Minister of Education of Ukraine. Good afternoon, Mr. Andrii. Good afternoon. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. So, Mr. Andrii, how was the year for our professional higher education and higher education? How are educational institutions adapted to the martial law? Thank you for the question. First of all, I want to thank the workers of all the education sector, all the pedagogical personnel, all the higher educational institutions who preserved universities, colleges, who maintained their contingent of students. We faced a number of challenges. Well, are you hearing me well? Yes, we are hearing you well. We were facing a number of challenges such as security challenges, because life and health of the participants of the education process are of top priority for the Ministry of Education. And another thing is relocation of educational institutions, those who were forced to leave the temporarily occupied territories to the territory of free Ukraine, the relocation of people, relocation of education infrastructure, which allows the students to master knowledge and allows us managing the educational institutions. Other challenges are related to terroristic attacks of aggressor state, the attacks on our infrastructure. Part of educational infrastructure was damaged. More than 2,700 educational institutions were damaged and 400 were destroyed to the ground. There were missile strikes on the universities, which suffered heavily. So all those challenges, they have no simple solutions. Unfortunately, it's a war, but our heroic education area personnel coped with them well, and Ukraine is the only country which did not stop the education process during the active phase of warfare. We continue to provide education services online and in mixed mode, and some universities, they are provided in offline mode. There were shelters equipped for the students. The system of education keeps working. It proved its reliability and sustainability, and we are part of the education team in the free and independent Ukraine. Mr. Andrii, did all the educational institutions manage to relocate? Do they keep operating? I mean, the teams, or did we lose some educational institutions during this year? None of the educational institutions was lost. People left the temporarily occupied territory. They are facing some problems with organization of education process, but they are in the territories under the control of Ukrainian government. They continue to teach their students, they continue working and doing incredible things. And when we attend international conferences, all of our Western partners, they are impressed and proud of the fact that our teachers keep working, that our kindergartens keep operating, the schools and higher educational institutions too. But of course, when a university or a college is being relocated, first of all, we relocate the people, but we lose the buildings, the facilities that were left in the temporarily occupied territories. They were completely pillaged by the aggressor. We could witness it in the deoccupied Kherson when the educational institutions were pillaged and mined. We couldn't even get in there because they were mined very densely, but the main thing is to make sure the people are alive and not under threat. How did the structure of specialties change since the beginning of the full-scale invasion? We understand that some of the specialties, some of the professions may have lost their weight. Maybe there is no need for those specialties, but there is a huge demand, for example, for military professions, for medical professions. Do you plan to change anything in the level of your ministry to change those positions for future students? Yes, we have to create the new government policy related to the education, specifically the military education, specialty number 257, the information operations. We see that cyber attacks are now a threat to all the institutions. This is one of the challenges that we face, and after our victory some of the challenges will become even more visible, such as removal of barriers. We oriented such specialties as physiotherapy, and we are sure that we have to reinforce the professional technical education. We have to create new specialties, new professions, like the professionals in the sphere of limited mobility. And due to the change of state construction norms, we have to amend the programs for education of architects and builders. We will pay more attention to those areas, to those sectors which are related to the rebuilding and reconstruction of Ukraine, like transport professions, and in view of due to the closed skies, the students in aviation industry, they have limited capacities for limited opportunities for education. Well, talking about our foreign students which were coming to Ukraine before the full-scale invasion, what's going on with them? Were we able to return at least a part of them to the education, getting them back involved in the education process? Do you mean the foreign students, the citizens of other countries coming to us for studies? Yes, I mean the foreigners who come for us to study in the higher educational institutions. Yes, the majority of them were studying for bachelor and magister programs. The number of them significantly decreased. The vast majority of them are currently abroad, and they receive education in online mode. And those universities who were training the foreign citizens, they made amendments to their programs, and now we see that the aggressor tries to persuade those students and to convince them to get studied in the aggressor state. But I want to report officially that this week, on Tuesday, such states as Russia and Belarus were excluded from Lisbon Convention, and the diplomas of Russia and Belarus will not be recognized all around the world, and they can only be used inside those countries. And this fact is being realized by the citizens of other countries, and I have a number of examples when the foreigners come back to study to Ukrainian educational institutions in the safer parts of Ukraine, like in western Ukraine, for example. So the exclusion of Russian Terroristic Federation from all the international agreements, it evidences that soon those Russian diplomas will be of no use to anybody, and it enhances the level of high quality Ukrainian education. Isn't this a potential for growth for us? Such measures that the international community resorted to, we understand that the foreign students who were studying in Russia, maybe they will stop doing it because they understand that those diplomas will not be recognized anywhere. Isn't this the point of for development of our education system? Maybe we can get them engaged in our education system. You are absolutely right. We are getting prepared to that. We are absolutely ready to absorb any students who currently study in Russia. I mean the foreigners. We are ready to accept them, to get them enlisted in the Ukrainian higher educational institutions, and we are ready to provide them with a Ukrainian education of European level, because everybody knows that Ukrainian education system is one of the leading in European space. So I hope those people have intention to return to high quality education rather than studying there in Russia. Thank you, Mr. Andrii. We have questions on the floor. Good afternoon. Tkachuk Svetlana, Ukrinform. My question is about military education that we covered in part. Well, talking about military education, are there going to be any changes and amendments to the training program in view of our and international experience? Well, thank you for the question. First of all, I want to thank that the responsibility of the military education is the responsibility of the relevant ministry, the Ministry of Defense. I don't know if I am at liberty to tell you everything, but there was a resolution by the Cabinet of Ministers related to the concept of transformation of military education. There was a very powerful working team working in all levels, and the representatives of the Ministry of Education and Science were involved in this work. So the strategy is aimed at improvement of military education, implementation of NATO standards there. I apologize, but that's all I can tell you. The transformation is underway, and I'm sure that when we win, everybody will be coming to us and study with our military educational institutions. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes, please, one more question. I would like to ask you about some details. Now the graduates, they passed the national multi-subject test. What's your opinion? After the war, will it be transformed into something, or will we settle with this format, or is the ministry developing some new instruments for testing the knowledge of the students, school students? Thank you. All the instruments that we use for the campaign of entering to higher educational institutions, all those instruments are described in Ukrainian regulations. So national multi-subject test is not the substitution for final state examination. It's just a proper response to the challenges of time, including security challenge. And I'm convinced that as soon as we win, we will be able to revert to the final state examination system, so to pick everybody for professional education on based on proper criteria. Thank you for this conversation, for joining our broadcast. I'm reminding you, joining us was Andrii Vitrenko, First Deputy Minister of Education and Science for Ukraine. Our team is working on the schedule of events for tomorrow, so bear with us, work together for our victory, and glory to Ukraine.